Hello everyone. Hello everyone. Alright, as I just posted in the channel a little while ago, Chris Atos Spears is not able to make it today. He asked for someone to stand in for him, so that's why I'm here. I am gonna... Hey, everyone's saying hey. I'm gonna be doing my old standard recently, Ulfheim, going back to reimagining Ulfheim. I'm not making enough progress. I keep getting pulled off to other things. I was sick for a couple days, but I continue to come back to it. Oops, and working on it. So my name is Keith Quinn. I go by Sannio on the forums. Ginma says I totally look like that one famous actor. Possibly. I used to get told I look like Andre Agassi a lot. That was a little while. That was Bruce Willis, but I think just because he went bald and I was bald. Phil Collins comes up a lot. Anyway, I don't know who it would be these days. Feel free to chime in. Who would play me in the Shroud of the Avatar developer movie? That's the big question. Oh, actually, yeah, I'm looking at the wrong thing. No, I don't want to look up the wrong thing because I screwed up something. Not used to looking up things in this way. Where is... What was it? 9? I think that's it. Alright. So I don't do the raffles. Chris is the one who does the raffles while he's streaming or available on somebody else's streams. I'm just here to share some information. Shroud of the Avatar. Why not Unreal Engine 4? Well, because we're on Unity. We're kind of committed to Unity at this point. For several years we've been committed. Or we should be committed. Anyways. So we're here in Ulfheim. I'll catch up people on what I'm doing here, and then for those who've seen some previous ones, I will show you some of the changes that have happened since last time. So this is the old Ulfheim down in front of me. And if you've been here, you may have realized that it's similar, super similar to another scene. It's what we call a clone. To get enough of the scenes in place, we duplicated some scenes. So Ulfheim here is a clone. In the center, we swapped out some of the bad guys with these barbarians, and we got this placeholder grand hall here. These little green markers are where bad guys spawn. The yellow line is where they walk. They walk from point to point. So there's a waypoint right there, and there's a connected waypoint and so forth. So this is kind of what it looks like behind the scenes. Oh, and here's this box right here. That's a flock of birds. This green box right here, that's an exit volume. When you hit the orange, you start transitioning into Novia. And you can see our mountains are just one big massive shape, each one. Salty man, you're asking me questions that I don't know the answer to. You want to probably one of the technical guys like Atos or one of the programmers. I am a designer. Generally, you could say I'm a content designer, but for our game purposes, I am in charge of the level design and the quest design. I write the quests. I put in the bad guys, set up onks, exit volumes, discoveries, which are compass markers that appear in your compass. So the reimagining of Ulfheim will be something like this. This is just like a block out. This is not done. There are a lot of pieces you can see that are just like not even close to being done, like this right here. Let's turn the lighting on so you can kind of get a better idea. Instead of like a forest, this is actually way up north. I didn't want to put it super full-on snow, although it's very snowy, but kind of I wanted to get the feeling, and we'll go up close, of like the snow has kind of been melting, or it never really sticks too much in recent days. So there's piles of snow here and there, but there's a lot of cleared snow, trampled snow. And let me just back up a little bit. So where's the Arctic Wolf Destroyer? Ulfheim is the name of this, not Wolfheim, but Ulfheim. Just take that W off right there. Arctic, one or both of the Arctic Wolves in here. We also have, they could appear in the Naughty Brat version of the Snowy Mountain Road encounter, which is in the North Palatus area. There's a chance, sorry, not the Naughty Brat. In the North Palace area, there's the Barbarian version of the Snowy Mountain Road encounter, and the both types of wolves could appear with them. Random encounters are great for me because when I'm trying to figure out where I can put these creatures, usually I can slip them into random encounters, and also will probably put them in some non-random scenes here and there. Both Travis and I, Travis who was aka List Rostov, we added the high-level bad guys in a variety of scenes. So he did some, I did some. We kind of have a list of where they are. I don't remember where they are. I think we posted where they are. So anyway, let's get back to kind of where we left off. So this will still be the place where you enter. So there'll be like open wilderness out there, and there'll be a variety of creatures and bad guys. Anything that was like important to the scene that still needs to be there, like say like a high threat bear or wolf, they'll be out there somewhere, probably. By the way, my dog Hero is here. Every once in a while you can hear him bark. Here, you want this? Let's see here, right there. Whenever I start talking, he gets very excited. Anyway. So, Eric is very excited when I'm talking, and he thinks he should be getting the attention. Since I'm awake and active, all attention must be given to him. But a few biscuits usually, and he's fine. We'll see how it goes. So, you're in the sort of free and open area right there, and then you make your way to the valley entrance. There are hunting parties and such. Get ready here. There's just a few block out pieces here. You know, there'll be tents and some of these special triangle awnings. You see now I've got some of the rocks up. I don't want you to be able to climb up there because that would mean you'll skip past certain important things. When you come into the middle here, I was trying to get my attention again. When you come into the middle, there'll be a wave battle will start, and when you defeat the wave battle, then this far gate will open, and then you go through here. I've done a bunch of decorations and propping rocks, trees over here. So you'll make your way up this ramp, and then you're in the tall trees area. If you've fought barbarians in other locations in our game, there are a few spots where they have homes. They like to make homes in the trees. This is also still a work in progress, but you can see I have some thoughts on this. I think I'm calling this a shed, but you know, it's some storage roof facility. An identical one over here. So you'll make your way around, and there'll be some like little caves and things that you can see, and you will then climb up here and go through here, fighting guys along the way, exploring. Shh, you're up. Shush. Right. Running out of biscuits. Then someone had pointed out, I don't remember who it was, but someone pointed out that these breakaway bridges, the sound doesn't work right on them. When you break it, the sound sort of like echoes throughout the whole scene. That was something I fixed. I think it's not in the game yet, but that'll be going in the game independent of Ulfheim, so that'll get fixed. Like in High Vale outskirts, they use these bridges a bunch of times, and they were set to, the sound was like set to 2D and the broadcast 500 meters, which basically is the whole scene. So now they'll broadcast, I think I set it to 20 meters, and they'll have the proper 3D sound effect. So anyway, so then we get up here, and we're on here, and we can actually see out. We can't jump through these twig walls, but if we had to, we can shoot through them. So make our way this way. We can look over here. We can kind of see a little sneak peek of what's on the other side. There's more things over there, and we can kind of see over the edge a bunch of trees. That's not done, but I did to do some fakery over here, so you can see that the trees over here get tinier and tinier to make it seem like they get further away faster. Where was I? So I think we were up here. Whoops, I lost track. I totally lost track. Okay, we started here, and we made our way across to here, treehouse, big treehouse number 2. Oh, then we were over here, go up the ladder, go across, and there's another bridge, a little sort of hangout space over there. Let me see if you guys say anything. Yeah, Elwyn Moon. The bridges, the breakaway bridges should get fixed. We have 4 sizes. All 4 sizes should get fixed with that sound thing. Is it anytime someone else in the scene triggers a bridge? Yeah, anyone in the scene triggers a bridge, and then the broadcast, the sound would just sort of be shared across the whole scene. What do you need, hero? Hopefully you don't have to go out for a walk. I'm broadcasting, buddy. Okay, stand by a second. I gotta check on this dude. What do you need, hero? Okay, good. The hero does not have to go out for a walk. He is just trying to get my attention. Okay. This. There you go. There you go. Alright, so back to the path right here. Walking across here. So these tree houses, these big tree houses with the bridges, the basic shape of them is, I feel is done now. I'll have to put in some interesting things inside. So we can see out here, there's a roof down below. We can't get to it from in here though. We have to go all the way through, drop down. There is a bridge if we want to go back up. She's our little, one of our little test models in case we sort of need to see how big things are while we're designing something. So this is sort of like a bigger, nice combat space. Over here there'll be like a certain type of doorway. I don't know exactly what it'll look like, but you'll have to flip a switch or something to open the door. And then we're on the bridge. And then you'll be able to open this door on the bridge, on the other side of the bridge. Some of this I had started in the previous stream. You can see kind of looks a little bit more lived in. I did a little bit more of that trampled snow is melting kind of situation. I do try to go inside. I might have missed something. I try to go inside, make sure none of the ground is peeking up through the floors. Like this. I'll have to fix that later. Or put something there, maybe that blocks it. Yeah, more of that over here. I'll have to fix that. I kind of stopped back there. I did a little bit more over here. I took out some of the trees that were from just kind of placed poorly and try to place them a little bit better. When you go through here, there will be another wave battle. You'll fight some bad guys. You won't be able to go into these. There's a special force field that blocks entrance to these buildings. Really, I just want you to stay in this courtyard area. So we did some decorations here. I put some trees just on the other side of the wall so it doesn't feel like everything just stops on the other side of the wall. And then over here, I didn't really do any decorations. This will end up being a big wave battle fight scene hall. Kind of like the one in Elysium Mines, maybe, although maybe a little less Greek looking. So that's what I've been working on so far. So now, I guess what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be doing a little bit of the ground decoration stuff in this area to get it a little nicer. One of the things I want to keep in mind is I don't want you to be able to be out in the open, free combat space and be able to just climb up and into it. So I'll have these blocker walls. It's a little gamey, and, but there'll be these big colliders that will keep you from being able to get up the wall from either angle. I know people are going to want to go up and climb down, but I know that's always what I like to do. I like to go up and over, as I say. Let me see what I'm going to be doing now. I'm just going to sample the height, kind of flatten it a little bit. I don't mind necessarily if you're in here and trying to get out. Like if you want to be here and then go up and then jump down there, that'll be okay. I'll try to make it so it works that way. But I don't want to sacrifice the need to not allow you to go from the lower to upper areas. Hero keeps making noises for me to look at him. Stop, Hero. Go lay down. Of course, he was like kind of sleeping the whole day until I started doing this, and then, as dogs do, popped up. It's like, oh, we're doing things now? The reason why I'm going in the rocks here and lifting the ground is because I want a certain smoothness to happen on the edge of the rock. Shh. I'm sure you can hear him, right? Crazy dog. Looking at that chat, see if there's anything. Like, I don't see a lot of the chat, so I'm just gonna once in a while just check in to see if there's anything. You guys are having a good conversation. I see. So when I raise those things, I get this nice smoothness that kind of happens here. I don't necessarily want to have it everywhere, but it's good in some places. I also found these rocks in a different scene. Hero, stop. Stop. Hero was sad. Shush. So these rocks are kind of nice. Yeah, some extra texture to the area, as opposed to just terrain, which is always going to be kind of smooth. I imagine at some point here we'll actually just get back to napping. I'm hoping. Man. Alright, I'm going to be right back again. Hold on a second. So what Hero is saying is like, hey, I know you want me to be quiet, but I want a snack, and this is the perfect time to demand a snack. So give me one. So that's what happens. So if someone gets up here, it's flattish. I'm going to say the top has a lot of snow, or we'll always start with a lot of snow. Let's close. And then, just to keep things simple, here's my brush size. Hero needs attention too. He sure does. Probably staring at him saying, bark. Hey buddy, I'm here. Yep, that's what he's doing. That is what he does. We'll go back to some of this in a minute. Oops. Hmm. I feel like I don't want to talk. Like the baby just went to sleep. Felipe Sam loves level design. Yeah, Travis is definitely a better row builder than I am, but I can fill in for sure. And I'll have him look it over when it's all done, and maybe he'll put in a few special somethings here and there. I'll have to come back to this and make it less smooth, probably. Ding it up a little bit. Come on. When I say ding it up again a little bit, I mean because it's rock, so it shouldn't be super smooth. It should have some pointy bits here and there. Although I hate when it stretches like this, so I sort of torn between the two concepts. And it's only stretching because this wall is so tall. Nice little rugged there. I've worked in other engines where, as you painted, it can sort of check your height. So I could just sort of like say everything that's flat, just sweep across. Anything that's flat looks like snow. Anything at this certain angle is going to be this sort of transition. Everything that's vertical is going to be the rock. Can't do that with this though. You gotta kind of manually touch things up. Sometimes I want to leave it, I think, as snow. Snow is sort of collected in certain pockets. You don't need to all transition. Kind of like that I have that green up there, so I'm gonna try to work that green in, little green pocket, grassy patch. We'd ignore Hero for a little bit. Hopefully I'll just chill out. Yeah, maybe that's right. That is. Switch to my. So this ground is going to be this type of grass. Put that here and there. I've raised the base around the trees a little bit. I'm gonna shape it a little bit because I kind of wanted it to feel like like roots, kind of like coming out. That grass was growing over some super heavy roots. But we'll see. See how it works out. I don't know if it'll do a good job. We don't have any standalone roots I could just jam in, so it can be alright. Eventually, when I get back to these structures here, I want to make sure that there's no snow underneath, both because I guess they've been using it, and snow has been trampled, but also probably there's less snow falling into there, so it wasn't really that much to clear out in the first place. I'll have to redo all the grass as well. I'll just get along the edge, I guess. Should probably finish the edge over here before I do too much work on that side. want to make sure there's plenty of space to fight bad guys. There'll be a lot of just open bad guys here. No wave battles, just sort of like normal open space. In addition to the side activities, which are virtue related. I don't know if you guys remember that. If you saw my previous streams about this. There are these little side activities that you can do, which will have two effects. One is in the final battle, depending upon which side activity you committed to, you will affect the final battle. And the easy example to talk about is if you free these wolves. I forget what I call them. Not abused. Some word like that. There's these wolves that are in cages. You free the wolves, and that will mean that there's none of those wolves in the final battle, whereas by default there will be those wolves in the final battle. So you've made a change in the combat space. And also, because that's a love-based activity, you know, it's plus love minus love, plus truth minus truth, plus courage minus courage. Because you free those wolves, not only will they not be there, but you anyone there when it finishes will also get a certain amount of positive love points. So you will be affecting your virtue score. And for those people who are really sort of trying to pay attention to their shroud and the color of it, you know, it's the sort of thing that could be important to you. So if you like minus courage kind of stuff, there'll be a minus courage activity, for example. Are those trees disappearing intended? I don't know which trees. It might sort of... Are they blinking in and out because I'm going forward and back? I'm kind of paying attention to the ground right here. Let's see, what trees are we looking at? I'm not sure what was disappearing. Anyway, so we'll start on the ground. I had an accidental bump in here, but maybe I'll keep it. We don't want to... We wanted flat-ish terrain. It doesn't have to be super flat. I'll change that a little bit as I go. This. I don't know if this will work. Big experiment. Of course, I'm going to smooth it out when I'm all done. So don't panic. I don't normally do this kind of shaping of the terrain to fake roots, but I don't know, it occurred to me that it might be okay here. We'll see. I'm not going to worry about this building. It's not necessarily the final place of that building. I like to shape the ground first, and then I put my structures, and then maybe also shape the structures again. I shape the ground again when I'm all done. Oh, the flashing. Yeah. So anytime I'm editing, so watch that tree in front of us. Anytime I'm editing the terrain, which I'm not doing yet, I'm about to do it now. Here goes. Boom. Trees go away. I guess it's a Unity thing to let you see the terrain a little bit better. You can see the grass will go away too. As long as I'm editing, see, I'm continuing to edit. The trees and grass and bushes go away. The reason why these big trees don't go away is because they're a special object. They're not painted on the terrain. So anything painted on terrain will go away while I'm painting. I guess I'm too used to it. I just sort of just ignore it as it happens. One second, I gotta check something. Just 1 second. And probably easier to see fine-tuned differences in the terrain without plants in the way. Yeah, that's true. There's actually like a setting you can do to turn that off while you're working on it. But the default state is to just sort of blink those off while you're working, which is can be pretty good. Mostly works out okay. Here, what do you want? A scratch? A scratch? He wants what he wants. He knows I know it. So does this work? This is a question. It's a little high, maybe. Maybe there's something here. Hero, quiet. Shush. Use scene and soda. We're here protects the devs walking across the bridge, gathering water. Yep. Usually I work with the shadows turned off. We should keep it on for a while. It's like, how can you hear me with those things in your ears? Yeah. He also does it when I'm playing games with headphones on, so it's not just me talking here. It's got a couple different states. Like if I'm at the computer for too long in general, he'll start barking at me. Like, get up, move around. What's wrong with you? And then if I'm chatting on the phone and not paying attention to him, he might be inclined to get my attention. And then if I'm, like now, on the computer and chatting, then of course that triggers both needs of his. We can just quiet it down a little bit though. We'll see how long that sticks. You wish, Zia Silverdale says, I so wish we had that level of ability to modify pot templates. The problem with that is that pot templates share, it would be neat, but if you didn't know, pot templates share terrain. So like every Forest 01 template has the same terrain, the same ground. You all use the Forest 01 ground that every other Forest 01 pot uses. So we would have to have like billions of multiple terrains. And actually when I'm done with this, I'm going to have to generate the Navmesh, which means it's a different Navmesh I've ever seen. That of course has its own complexities and overhead. So this kind of softish, mild bumpy thing I think is going to work for me. Let's experiment with some painting. I'm not sure what I want here. It's probably going to be like tons of snow on the edge because of all the leaf canopies in this area. And I don't really have many trees on the ground, but there'll be more trees on the ground. So I'll start with these kind of shapes and we'll see how it goes. Oops, overshot it. Also, I'm going to get this out of the way. It's kind of bugging me. It's in the way. Gotta go. Also, I have a radio playing low in the background. I don't know if you guys can hear it. Is it distracting or anything? Is it okay? Let me know. So Z also says, I'm sure you guys will figure out a way to do it one day. I'll tell you something I'd like to put in the hands of pot owners is, so I'm also the guy who implements pots. Aloha, Lancer Main. So I'm the guy who implements the pots. You know, when you lock your form, I get an alert and I see what the difference is and I make those changes or implement it in the first place. What I wish I didn't have to do is put in the interconnection wagons and balloons and boats and all that. I wish we had a way where you can do it. And I've put in a Jira. There's like extra tech that would make it, that would be needed. Right now it's kind of hard to figure out, but I would love for you to be able to say like probably buy, but maybe also craft a certain type of like teleporter wagon that you link on your own to your friend's pot, and he agrees, and then you're both buddies with the shared interconnection, and then it just works like that. And I could say it works like that because, you know, I'm not programming it. You know, I feel sorry for the programmer who just says, I have an idea that's 20% formed. You flesh it out. But that would be great. Please remove the fake trees at the Forest on One template. I don't know which trees are fake. I didn't work on. I don't create the templates. They were created by Michael Hutchison back in the day. I don't know which ones are fake. I don't know. Maybe this works. Yeah, it's so bright in this faked daylight. Some of these things, sometimes like, I don't know if that'll look good, but then when you start putting like the grass in, and you sort of just do like these little touch-ups here and there, and it ends up looking pretty decent. For example, like over here, looks pretty reasonable. This area is a little better than others. I got the little, take this. I like to sort of, if you see my mouse, I like to sort of have like a little curve underneath to show the beaten path. It's not in a lot of spots here because I still have to come back and do like a better stuff. You can see it in some areas though. I wanted to make sure that hint was there. Anyway. So I'm going to kind of assume that everyone comes in this way. And then they go wherever. I guess let's kind of block out some, whoops, wrong one. Kind of block out the road that people take. Let me go this way a little bit too. So clearly they go here. So they're going to go here. And this way. So maybe that suggests that one of these is here, probably like this, kind of facing the road, which will be in front of it. A standalone tree house right there. That one's there, then maybe this one. And this one's here. Yeah, okay. So here's my road premise. This road goes like this, and then it goes like this. Some people go this way, some people go that way. And they also probably go this way. Just like that. Whoops. I don't know if this will fit. It might be too big. Let's get ground level. So going this way. Go that way. Maybe I should turn that forward. Kind of wedged in there a little bit. Yeah, okay. Oops. I'm just going to say okay for now. Every interactable object has a unique ID. And when I save it, if I don't give it that unique ID, then it gives me an alert, which it just did right now. It said, hey, you want to make sure to force a unique ID and everything? No, I'm going to skip it for now. Sometimes it takes a while. If I'm going to be adding more things that will also need unique IDs, then I'll just make sure that I do that extra step at the end. Someone is talking about the encounter with the polar bear destroyer. I guess sometimes he spawns, sometimes he doesn't, because it's random. It's not a guarantee that the special high-level bears will be in that random encounter. There are a certain number of enemies that'll happen in the boss wave of the Snowy Mountain Road encounter, and sometimes those enemies will include one of the high-level bears. What's the best way to get in touch with Atos? You want an item, but never received it. You can send them. I don't know the best way. Possibly you can mail him in the game itself, but his in-game mailbox usually gets full. I guess you could send something to our support group, but maybe you can also send him a private message on the forums. Maybe that's what I'd suggest. And until he tells me otherwise, I'll suggest send him a private message on the forums. I don't know how often he frequents Discord. I know Discord is probably one of the least best ways to get in touch with any of us. Reading through more of your chat stuff. So Bedouin suggests for pot terraforming, would it be feasible to create big terrain-like objects that they could place that would be squishy with the real terrain to blend in? Maybe. You can suggest it on our feedback forums. That would be a good thing, and then other people can chime in with their suggestions or agreement or whatever sort of comments. And, I'm not the one who makes those sorts of decorations, but it's possible. Just skimming through the chat a little quickly. Damon asks about the, I guess, the Snowy Mountain Road encounters again. The bears are random, don't spawn. How long do you need to wait, I guess, for the random encounter to respawn? The random encounter is not limited by 12 hours or 24 hours or anything like that. It's just each time you come into Novia, for example, when you go to North Palace area, there could be a barbarian in Novia. He might not be there, it could be, and so if you get pulled into his encounter when the boss wave happens, there could be a chance that the bear pops up. There's no time limit. It just, if you want to try, after you go to Snowy Mountain Road encounter, if you fight the boss wave, you realize there's no bear in there. If you want to leave and try to find another one, that's fine. Better one. Anytime you have suggestions, especially like simpler ones, even more especially if they're things that you think we already have pieces of. Yeah, definitely post it on the forums. I don't know what our art guys. That would probably be Damon. I don't know what Damon's message board handle is, and Travis. They'd sort of work that out, I think. Get back to my road here. Turn the lights off. Yeah, turn the special lighting off. There we go. So let's say I kind of like this tree situation. Maybe that's fine. So I'm going to try to do something similar with these other trees. See how it goes. We'll see if Hero lets me do my job. Oh, hold on a second. There he is. It's, he doesn't know what's going on. Since he's patient, a couple of pieces. I like to break the biscuit in half, so he feels like he's getting two things. Although he's kind of clever, he probably knows the trick. Actually, I'm super confident he knows the trick. You know, he's got his tricks, I have my tricks, and we're both pretty on top of what each other's tricks are. You say he wants to go play or something, but he doesn't really like playing. When he was younger, he used to play with toys, and we would run in circles in the backyard and things like that. A lot of activity, but he's an older dude now, and he's not into all that stuff. Mostly just like hanging out, you know, outside, just watching people walk past. He's always been a people dog, and that's the kind of thing he likes to do. And sometimes he wants me to do it with him. So I think when I get on the phone or on the chats, I think that's really what he wants from me. He wants me to hang out with him. Yeah. Does Hero like to assert dominance? Your bulldog wants me to fight him. No. He isn't really, he will, he's never been in a fight. He got bit once, but it was like an accident by a dog who was like roughhousing with a bunch of other dogs and just grabbed Hero's neck and poked a hole in it. Little blood. Hero was like, what the heck happened? When he was young, he was kind of a coward. He was afraid of like loud sounds, and he's still afraid of like a lot of dogs afraid of like thunder and fireworks. He was afraid of new things and the road in general and stuff. And then in his middle years, he kind of became the policeman of the dog park, where, and he probably picked up a lot of this from me in hindsight. He would step in whenever one dog was bothering another dog, and he just sort of like split them up. And it's probably a little bit of he's got a bunch of herding dog, working dog kind of DNA in him, so he would kind of just split those guys up. He's like, no. But if a fight broke out, he would always just go to the other side of the dog park. And now in his older years, he's a little bit of a grumpy old man. He will you know, red flag dogs that he thinks are a problem, and he will proactively bark at them to let them know that he's got his eye on them, which is kind of annoying. But, you know, I think he's I think it's a little bit of that policeman at the dog park thing, that he sort of just, he kind of doesn't know when to stop. He will also bark at cats that he doesn't know, but he has lived with cats, you know, several different cats, and several at a time. So I don't really know what the deal is with that. He will not bark at the cats who live with him, but he will bark at cats that are walking past with his... Cats get the, hey, hey you, what are you doing out there? Hey, hey, hey you, hey, hey cat, hey, what are you doing? Whereas dogs, he thinks are a threat, he'll be like, I got my eye on you. Don't you think you can walk past without me seeing you? Troublemaker, I know what you're up to. That's what he does. Alright. He's just kind of sitting next to me right now, which is nice. So I'm going to do the road last, because I'm going to put... doing this shaping, and of course, that guy's... or, you know, the residents, they're not going to want to walk right over my fake root bump, so they're going to walk around it. So I kind of need those in place first. Also have to make sure that it reaches up to here. And up to these bases. I dropped them a little bit too low in some spots. Let's set height, where I can sample a height. I have no space, so height is, let's say that's a good height. Do this. A lot of boring shaping going on. I'm going to do some painting in a second. Alright, let's let's kind of do it the way I did with the other one. So under here, I'm a little torn because it could be that it's melting, but it could also be that it's kind of untouched, so it's in the shadows and no one walks on it, so maybe it would be very snowy. Let's sort of like explore that a little bit. I'll take this. Where's that? He's being a good boy, although he just got up. He's breathing at me. Kind of suggests he's trying to decide if he should bark or not. Stymie asks, just getting home. What did I miss? So Chris isn't able to be here today, so it's good that you reminded me to remind people. So I'm subbing in for him. I keep having to put off my Ulfheim changes, but it gives me something to do to show off when I'm doing live stream, so that actually works out okay for me. So that's what I'm doing. We've been working on Ulfheim again. Soften up the edge a little bit. So maybe that kind of works. And as always, we can go back later and polish it off a little bit better. Oops, that's the wrong one. Gotta make sure that the travel paths make sense and that wherever NPCs walk a lot, the ground should be trampled or something like that. So maybe that one works okay. Alright, so now we'll go to this one. Oh, back to barking. And hit save. What's up, hero? No scratch? No? You want these? Biscuits. Distraction biscuits. Alright, let's get back to my low terrain. Back to smoothing. Keep this up a little bit. I am rewarding his barking. Yeah. I am terrible that way. But like I said, he's an old dude. I kind of just give in to him like all the time now. Whatever he wants. There's not really much he wants to do lately, so we used to go on like really long walks, but nowadays he goes on short walks. So that's something I wanted. Took him a long time to realize that we don't have to like go super far for a walk. So if he's gonna sort of cut me some slack with that, then I'll give him an extra couple of biscuits here and there. That's kind of how I see it. It's an unspoken agreement. I'm sure he doesn't know that we have this agreement, but that's how it is. I didn't like the smoothing that was going on before, so change some settings on my brush. Maybe it's a little bit better now. I guess we'll see. I kind of want it bumpy without being eye-catching, because I think if it's eye-catching, then you'll realize that there's no actual roots there, and you look a little more awkward than intended. Really should just be interesting shape more than actual roots fakery. Kind of expect what will happen is people sort of like, they'll just sort of go up and down a little bit over these bumps and don't really think too much about it. That's good. That'll be high praise, because if it was super flat, people might be running around going like, man, this place is super flat. To not actually have anything noticeable about some terrain pieces can be high praise. It's kind of when people don't notice something's wrong. That can be the best compliment ever. I have a high spike in here. Maybe a little bit too high. Kind of forcing these edges up more than I would like. So I have to push it in a little bit further than the original plan. think this is better. Kind of closer to what I originally planned. Sorry if I zip around too fast. I try to keep in mind that people are watching, and I try to not do too extreme in my movements. Yeah, it was too steep, too extreme before. This is much better. Alright, let's do the painting. These tents will probably go away. I don't know where they'll go. They'll go somewhere else. They're actually kind of in the way now. Let's get them over there. I probably should have just went like this. That's what I should have did. I like this brush with a bunch of dots instead of one big dot, because it lets you do it's not like one big sphere in the middle of certain shapes. And I like to tap it a little bit. Sometimes I smear it, but I like to tap it. In the center I might smear it like that, but on the edges I like to tap it. I guess right on the edge of these rocks. The snow is probably pretty solid still. This little pass through here. I don't know if people will actually be able to get through it, but I'll put it there. We'll see what happens. No snow inside the cave. Two rock textures to use. There's that smoother one up there and the one that's a little rougher down here. To my mind, it's kind of like pebbles or whatever sort of tumbled down here pretty often. Save this again. Majority asked, are we ever going to get a battleground system with timed event to take over the area with quests for it and a raid system? There's something like that on the to-do list. It wouldn't be for me to answer. You'd have to check with ATOS on that. One of the things, one of the reasons, big reasons why I'm remaking Ulfheim is to have a place where high-end players can go and find a tough challenge and try to. I'll also try to put in something at some point as a stretch goal where it requires multiple players to do something. I don't want to make a location that is just tougher creatures. To me, that feels kind of boring. There needs to be some extra mechanics to make it interesting, to make you feel like you're making a difference. So this is how I can make that kind of thing happen. How I can, as a level designer, quest guy, puzzle maker. Alright, I'm assuming a lot of people are walking around these areas. A little more rugged. I still like the mostly wet grass as opposed to the mostly snow grass. I think the mostly wet grass is like the main grass. We'll get back to that. Just let's come back here and let's kind of stick with one corner. Which corner? Lost track where it was. Let's kind of stick with this, the double cave. Stick with that for a couple minutes. Alright, I'll go for another 15 minutes. And I gotta give my dog some special attention. What am I gonna do here? Oh, actually, it's see this weird brush is also good for making things kind of like rugged a little bit. Maybe it's easier. Like you can see how everything's just like slightly bumpy, maybe, and more natural than say like over here, kind of flat, kind of bumpy. It's the sort of thing definitely that you need in a place like this. Oh, that dog. That dog. He definitely just wants a snack this time. He's kind of right next to the snack area. Um, So now, because we sort of shaped some of the other areas, we can kind of get a sense as to where the road might go now. Just sort of making this a little less flat. So I'll actually smooth it a little bit in a second. Oops. All right. Oops. So this is the road, the main path. I'm calling it the road. and the side paths. Kind of deeper than I intended, but I think that's okay. This is it's an old community of the barbarians, so the path is very worn. Kind of using this for my dirt. Sometimes I do this dirt part last. There's a reason I'm doing it kind of first this time. You also kind of don't want it to end up looking straight, and that's where the that non-circular dotted brush will come in for me. In fact, we're going to it right now. Versus the big 2. Kind of try to keep that sense of my bumps. Might be hard for you to see. The outer edge. Come back here, I think. Pinching it too hard. The road will keep going. I'm just stopping right here, though. It's hard to tell from below how far you need to go in for any of this stuff, so sometimes you go in low, very close, sometimes you are far away. I don't really know if I meant to have this right there, but let's assume that's where I want it. quiet lately. Felden Grimshaw likes the current Ulfheim. Any way to keep that area alive? Maybe move it somewhere else. If what you like is the shape, then I mentioned a few times that that area is a clone of another area. It's a pretty good bet that it's a lower level. There's only low level versions of it out. If you're talking about the bad guys, I'm gonna keep the bad guys will be rearranged, but the types of bad guys that are in the current Ulfheim will continue on in the new version. I don't want to remove anything that people find joy in with the current Ulfheim. Definitely don't want to remove anything that's going to screw up gameplay or the economy. That kind of stuff is terrible. Mega Flux says, thanks for modifying zone layouts. Ran through quite a few yesterday and took note how many are still mirror images. Yeah, there's still a lot of clones out there. Thanks. Oh, 1,000 bits for world building. Awesome. Thanks to you, Omega Flux 1, and anyone else who's been given bits. I haven't been looking at the chat window, which I have over there. But thanks. Appreciate it. Tons. Let's get to this dude again. I'm going to assume that the road kind of comes out the back a little bit. We'll sort of get to that in the future. And maybe it also comes around this way. Sometimes people go through, sometimes people walk past. So my road over there needs to split right here. Maybe it's not well traveled, which is fine. But it is used sometimes. Go to my reason more. It's a little too aggressive, but when I smooth it out, it'll kind of work out okay. It'll be alright. Nobody panic. So I'm following the road clearly is going to follow here. And I guess they're walking around this, but I can also do things like maybe there's a tree there that is something that they're walking around. Or maybe it's over here. Oh, you know, actually, maybe I kind of like the dead tree there. Because there's a lot more dead trees under here. Under the shade of everything. Trees don't really get a good chance to grow. Except in a few perfect conditions, perhaps. That's something a lot of our world builders have done a good job with. They pay attention to where the leaves fall, and what trees should be dead, and where the flowers should be. And sometimes if you're looking at, be careful at a road, especially like a cobblestone road, every once in a while you'll see like a real cobblestone mixed in with the textured cobblestone. It's pretty awesome when they do that. We're starting up again. Right, some of these things are in snow, and that's actually kind of cool. Right here. Alright, let's sort of zip around and then sign off. Shh, hero. We'll go outside in a second. Good time to save changes. Yes, engineer. Save early, save often. So this is kind of the area I was working with. Seems pretty good. Oh, hero. Too much there. Yeah, be careful about putting grass in the walkways. Oops. Oops. We got two types of grass. Let's mix it up. This might be too much. Come back to some of it. Sometimes you just got to get it down, see how it feels, run around. Not just, you know, move the camera around like I'm doing. You need to run around and like a player would. Make sure it feels right. Too much. We got these really tall trees. Sometimes they survive, sometimes they don't. What's the other one? This one? That's not it. Sometimes I like to jam it in there, so it looks like I found just like the perfect place to grow. I don't want to spend too long on things like that, but sometimes it's nice. This one might be too far in to grow like that, but I'll leave it. I want to have some leaves on the inside area. I don't want to have everything dead. A lot of dead ones. Oh, that one's okay. It's probably too methodical of me, but I try not to have two similar trees right next to each other. Sometimes it's okay. Often it's okay. I don't know why I avoid it so much. Wish I had more bushes in this setup. All these dead trees. I like it there. Sometimes you can do that. Just hang them in the middle of rocks. Look at that. Should I seal it up? Maybe I'll leave it. Maybe I'll just leave it. That's too oppressive against the walkway. Wish I had a bush or something in this. I should have added a bush. Like that there. Also make some of these things small. I could scale it down a little bit. It's like this dude. Still growing. Still got a chance. I think this was that. Right? There you go. It's kind of napping. He's lying down staring at me. He's saying like, didn't you just say we were going somewhere? Let's hold up. I'm bored. That's what my dog is saying. Oh, I didn't put that stuff there. See, I don't like this right here. You see how it's part of the bridge? It bugs me. What I did over here, I put some frames there. It's sort of propped up. I'll have to do that over there too. Over here, propped up. Here again, propped up. Propped up. You can kind of tell when I prop it up. This, my signature beam right there. Just to cap off those pieces. Let's put the lights. Yeah, that feels playable. And at some point I'll put in things like whatever their equivalent of streetlights are, you know, some sort of post with a lantern kind of thing. You know, I'll put like decorations that aren't plants, but that were placed, that aren't necessarily structures. So the lampposts, these little tent things, crates and barrels are obviously something that can be placed here and there. Piles of wood, maybe some crafting station here and there. Like potentially there's a carpentry station, like at ground level or up here, milling station. You know, these things make sense for these people. Maybe down here there's a butchery area. You know, I don't want to load it up with a billion different types of crafting stations, but I could see 2 or 3 easily being here. And one last quick scan of the chat. I see Arkham Strike says, watching me adding stuck spots. That'll have to be recorded later. Yeah, perhaps, hopefully not. You know, this is still a work in progress, and at a certain point we'll smooth things out. All these tree stuff, I think they'll end up being pretty solid as far as no stuck spots. This dude right here, and he's a big maybe. Any of these rocky areas are high threat until I give it a pass, and then, you know, if I sort of set it up like this, this feels pretty good. Obviously, this big smooth area is nicer too. And then when we start getting into the rubble, and you know, I don't know. I just saw a spot over here. I want to touch it before I sign off. There we go. I like this flatness. I'd like to have more of that throughout this area. I haven't really touched any of this, but this definitely, I'd like to have it flat, can't climb up kind of thing. Let's see this. Hard. It looks like it's hard to climb up, so when you actually try to climb up and you can't, it just makes sense. And I don't mind some stuff bouncing up here, but at a certain point, you can't go up anymore. Right now, it looks like you can probably climb up to here, and then maybe get up. But I will be blocking you, people who are trying to get up and over. Sorry. Really wish I had a way where I can block you from going up, but anyone can go down. That would be the best. Jorica says, I love to explore in the game. There's a lot less stuck spots in most games. We need places to explore. Yeah, places to explore, great. I mentioned Rift in a previous stream that I love. They definitely were good with explorers, and they actually will let you go up and over places that you imagined you would never be able to cross in any other game. And then up at the top, there'd be like something interesting to look at, or a puzzle or something. It was awesome. You also say, I wish Upper Tiers Mountains were more explorable. It's a beautiful area. Yeah, it's just pretty cool. You know, we came up with the pitch as a team based off some idea I had of like a flooded village. It was if I remember correctly, it was a clone of another scene, which was a smaller one. So we only had so much space to work with. But I think they did a pretty good job. It kind of ends up being like 3 spaces, sort of. You know, there's obviously the big lake area with the biggest fighting, and that's even split into 2 parts. You know, the 2 main shores, and then there's the river that leads up through, you know, snakes through everywhere before the big lake, and you have like a couple little side pockets of bad guys right there, and then of course there's the big underground fight area. Tell you one thing I would have did different with, you know, in hindsight, it'd be nicer if Upper Tiers. This is not changing, so don't worry. This is just me spitballing stuff. It would have been nicer if the underground fight was deeper into the scene, so you had to go through the scene to get to it. And then also, if we flip that switch where, like, anytime you came into the scene, you had to start at always at the beginning. You couldn't just like kind of start anywhere, because if the point of the scene, big point of the scene, is that fight, it kind of works against a lot of stuff to just let you just be there every time. It should be something you earn. Fight should be something you always sort of work toward and push toward and then earn. That's my thought. Like this scene right here, you will earn the big fight at the end for sure. You know, you will go through a fight here, random fighting in there, wave battle in the village, and then another big boss battle at the end. President of Earth says, just got here, what scene will this be? This is a reimagining of Ulfheim, which is in the North Palace area. And before we go again, I'll do the trick. Oh, hold on one second. So this is the old version of it. The bottom left, you can see the barbarian main headquarters, main hall, placeholder. I'm watching Twitch and I don't see anything moving. Okay, hold on one second, let me see. I need to reload this. See, House of Mangar Theater says, please aim for making sure all new scenes are bigger, much bigger, something like Bud Bay. So in this case, I'm limited to what the scene was before. So I can't extend the terrain. Blood Bay, by the way, super huge. It's I think our biggest scene, or one of like the 2 or 3 biggest adventure scene. Why does that have to be the same size? Couple of reasons. First, I wanted the play experience to be roughly the same. Like if someone sort of ventures through the whole scene, they should feel like they've spent around the same amount of time. Although this is a little different, so I'm sort of like contradicting myself, because in the new version of Ulfheim, you know, there's gated areas where you have to fight things and then open up other areas. So it's a little different. But also, we're going to have a certain number of bad guys in the area that are carryovers from the old one. Like if there's certain like high threat wolves and bears, I want the population density to feel around the same. So when you do come to those guys, you don't feel like there's more or less guys in the way. You feel about the same effort to get to them from the entrance. It's part of it. Also, there's a performance thing. Like the bigger the scene, the harder it is to populate, and the more guys are there, and the more effects and puzzles and things, the harder it is for the scene to run. Barbarian Village looks a lot bigger. It is. I mean, it was 1 building before, and now it's 3 main sections, which will be a camp at the bottom of the valley, tree houses on the right, and then the actual village deepest in. So House of Mango Theater clarifies what I'm getting at is it would be nice to have a scene where a party can venture through for maybe 10 to 15 minutes before you wind up back where you started. It makes things much more interesting and immersing. Most scenes you can run through in 5 minutes or less. Yeah, that's true. Because this is gated, it'll slow down your progress, and also there'll be wave battles, which kind of compel you to will have a forced yet compelling reason to stay in an area. So you won't feel like you're trapped for unnecessarily too long. If you haven't tried the Compendium of Pain and Suffering, dungeon. We call it the challenge dungeon sometimes. We remade that, like, I don't know, was it a year ago now? It used to be sort of like kind of like a stretch. It was zigzag, but it was like linear. And if someone was trying to catch up to you, it was kind of a pain. It was this weird teleport gimmick that didn't always work. So what we did was we sort of made it sort of hub-based, that anytime you were partway through and I was trying to catch up to you, there were certain doors that were open and lit with a light to let me know that here's the easy way to catch up with you. And actually, if you went through the whole thing in the intended fashion, this sort of zigzag, up and down a little bit, but you actually would end up back where you started. And me and Dan Brennan, the Plague of Locust, the level designer who took did the lion's share of the effort on the remake of that. We really wanted, we liked the idea of those the dungeons that if you don't need to fight your way all the way back, there's no need to go all the way back. Why not have the ending be where the start was, and then you can just sort of wrap things up right there. And when we remade it, we kept that in mind. I think we did a really good job with that part of it. So yeah, you said the compendium is not bad. We need a version 2 for some of the more powerful players. Yeah, something on the list for me is to have like a hard mode version of that dungeon. A little bit like how Lost Vale, those side rooms have their hard modes. You take those special essence crystals and you plug it in. I don't know how I would do it with the Compendium of Pain and Suffering, but that was something I kind of wanted to do too. It's meant to be like an endurance challenge, for tough players, and if you're even tougher, if you can actually. The original plan was that you had to do it with a group, but of course players are way better than the original plan, so a lot of players will do it solo. So Taiki says, or just add another few levels to add more runes. So it'll be much easier to use the same rooms, but have the bad guys be tougher. If we added new rooms, then there's a couple of things. It's not a big deal to add new rooms, but I don't like changing the map, changing the scene after the map is done, and I think the map is done for that. Because if the map is done, it takes us it's hard to go back to it and put the map back in, put a newer map. So it's kind of better. So this whole Ulfheim thing right here, it's going to need a new in-game map, which means probably won't have an in-game map for a while, which is rough. But better to have a more interesting scene with no map than to have a boring scene with an overused map. Anyway, I'm rambling. It was rambling time. So I'm going to sign off, I guess. And so House of Mangar Theater, as last statements before I have to go. Something we were talking about, is there any way we can get a difficulty setting for some of the scenes? It would open up many lower level scenes to players that would not go there before. We don't have a system whereby players can just sort of make stuff harder. The hard mode gimmick in Lost Vale is a complex and delicate, designer-driven, not programmer-driven, bit of wackiness that works. But if it was more complicated, or we did in other scenes, it would sort of like need its own special tender loving care, like every time. I talk about wave battles sometimes. Each wave battle is actually kind of its own special animal. It's not special dynamically spawned bad guys who potentially this 6 out of the 10 spawners over here are bad guys, or 6 out of 10 over here are bad guys, and if you kill a few, then they get replaced in the same area. That's a pretty simple setup that we have. But the wave battles, there's like a special trigger that makes it happen, and then it kind of knows that it's what stage it's in, and if there's like things that have to happen in between stages, like doors opening and closing and special effects happening and stuff. It gets pretty complicated, and we should not have a whole scene set up like that. To have like a little one-off dungeon kind of thing, or pockets like that, or pockets that are intermingled with normal spawners, which is going to happen actually in Ulfheim. That's a little easier, safer. We would need new tech from a programmer to have some sort of hard mode thing in there. It would be pretty awesome. And then there's also the question, like, so if we go into a scene and you somehow turn on hard mode in whatever way that is, and then I'm a lower level player and I come in, probably what I expected for this scene, maybe I expected a tier 5 scene and you activate hard mode, and maybe that means it's tier 8, I don't know. So I go in expecting tier 5 because that's what it was yesterday and the day before and the day before that, and now suddenly like everyone's like tier 8, then my experience just is terrible and it feels like something's broken, and I might complain, or I might just stop playing because I think something's really wrong with the game. Because maybe I actually see it more and more and I don't read the forums, and so I don't know enough about what hard mode is. To have it compartmentalized and not at the entrance, deeper in and maybe harder and harder as you go. That's more sensible. That's more intuitive. Anyway, there's a lot to think about with that kind of stuff. I just sort of breezed over some of the basic points, but still, it would be awesome if we can have some way where there could be sections. Like in a dungeon, it's great because dungeons are a little bit more anything goes than just sort of general open space. Like you don't get to a dungeon without going through somewhere, so you don't have to, but it would be nice if people sort of can keep that assumption in mind that this place was tougher and now I'm deeper in, and I expect it to be even tougher. Maybe the further in I get, what I love is the further in I get, the tougher everything gets. The further off the beaten path, further from the entrance, the tougher it can kind of get. You can kind of see that in some of the areas that I end up spawning. But anyway, this thing right here. House of Mangar says you easily make a high scene not accessible to lower level tunes. I don't. I think a premise of our game is that anyone can get anywhere, unless it's like there's a quest restriction, and I like keeping that. I wouldn't want to block anyone. If you feel you can go in, that's fine. If you feel you can't go in on your own, but you can go in with your friends because a group of like 6 guys can do it, where 1 or 2 people can't, then that's your choice, and that's great. Test yourself against higher threats. That's awesome. I don't want to block you from going in somewhere because of that. I might block you because of your virtue score, like how you can't easily get on the Jack of Diamonds airship because the bouncers check your virtue. So things like that. And that's what Atos wants to do in Tartarus. You all die. Oh, just kill them all. Alright, I can sign off. So thanks for showing up. I hope you liked what we saw. Oh, I got the wrong wrong thing. This was a part 3. Let's see if I update the name. Part 3. Okay. Hopefully that's the one that sticks. Reimagining Ulfheim Part 3 with Keith Sannio Quinn. That looks right to me. How long did we go for? Was that like 2.5 hours? Something like that? Alright, so thanks everyone. Can't sign off yet. I always forget. I gotta do the raid. Who else is on? I never know. Anyone have a suggestion who to raid? First suggestion, go. That's the one I'm picking. I'm watching the chat. Who should I raid? Alpha Fish Stick. There we go. I always forget how to do this. Alright. There we go. Alpha Fish Stick. Incoming to Alpha Fish Stick. I guess I have to press the button. Nope, not yet. Oh, I can press it now. Alright, thanks again, everyone. Have a great day. Thanks for coming. I hope you enjoyed yourself.